This is about the value of mentorship, coaching, or support on your journey. So, are you getting any support at the moment? Have you thought about mentorship or coaching? And if so, have you ever done that? So, at various stages of my journey, when I started training as a therapist in 1993, initially the course was quite light and it was more practice based. And then as the course developed, we got support from the tutors, we had peer support in our groups, and we had group support for when we were doing particular projects. And then I had my own personal therapy, and I've had therapy over at different stages of my life now since I did that training. And initially, when you do your training, it was a requirement of the training, and you start to see the value of what it's like to go somewhere with someone that you can talk to about the different things that are going on in your life. Or also, like what coaching does often, is helps you think about where are you, where do you want to go, and what might be getting in the way of that. So this session is about thinking about how you get support on your path, because there can be lots of people around us that either don't share what we're interested in, don't buy into some of the beliefs or ideals that we've got or the journey that we're on, and some people may have strong opinions about that. I know that I've had that experience over time at different points in my life over the last 30 years, and in particular, probably since about 2011, when I consciously decided at the beginning of 2011 to use that whole year to go and have experiences, what would have been defined as spiritual workshops, personal development groups, all sorts of things like that, and was going to the Mind, Body and Spirit Festival for years. But I've always thought that having some discernment about what we do, we can have the experiences. And like I've said in other videos, not everybody, we're all at different stages of the journey, and not everybody is walking the walk that, from the talk that they're talking. And we have to be discerning about what we go to. But trying a workshop, going to an event, going to a retreat can also be deeply satisfying and even healing. So the card associated with this is the Hierophant. And the affirmation for this is, I welcome wise support in my life. I do not have to walk this path alone. And sometimes we do. Sometimes we're in the hangman energy and we need to have more space to ourselves to go inwards to find out what the answers are for us and switch off to the outer world. And that can be spending time with people, friendships, and many of us go through those phases where we spend a lot more time alone and learn to enjoy our time alone and enjoy the silence, enjoy the quietness. But at different stages of our life, sometimes it's valuable to have a peer support in some way. So we understand this really well in, say, like Alcoholics Anonymous, that people are going through really dark nights of the soul, really struggling, trying to stop drinking alcohol, will often find these groups very supportive and beneficial, because people have been on that journey before. So they kind of already know the pitfalls, they know the kind of things that you say to yourself, how we can delude ourselves with our own thinking. And it's good to have somebody that can check in from the outside and say, hey, how are you doing? And help guide you in some ways, even though that's more of a sort of peer support process. And the same with Narcotics Anonymous. And that's why some of those programs work. And in counseling and therapy training, then you'll have supervision on your casework, and you might be in your own therapy. And like I said, at certain times in my life, when I was going through difficult times, I think the first time actually I had therapy was after my son was diagnosed with diabetes. And it was a real shock to the whole family because he was only 4 at the time. And trying to administer injections and do something that, really upset your child was heartbreaking at the time. And I got some support. I think the doctor referred me at the time for that. And like I said, I've been at different times. And the Hierophant represents sacred knowledge, mentorship, and spiritual structure. So often it's been associated with religious structure. And regardless of whether you have a religious background or not, you have to work out what the term spiritual means for you anyway. And there's lots of people on the path that don't stick with any one particular religion, and then you get people who may have been a Catholic, a Protestant, and then started practicing Buddhism, and going down a path of a different religion. So regardless of how you define that and what you connect with, it's still a journey, and it's a journey of the soul and a journey of what it's like to be human here. And especially now, there's a lot more information accessible, and there's a lot of noise out there that can distract us from our own inner truth. And sometimes we need to check into what that own inner truth looks like and share that with somebody else. So the Hierophant reminds us that seeking guidance from those with a lived experience is not a weakness, it's wisdom. The Hierophant is the teacher, but also the student who humbly asks, who can walk with me, reflect back my blind spots, and help me grow? He calls us back to look at mentors, therapists, coaches, or guides who honour your unique journey while offering time-tested tools to help us evolve. So one of the greatest transformations really happens to us when we realize that we're not supposed to always do this alone. I think, like I said, sometimes we might do. And you might be the strong one, the capable one, or the one who people come to for help. But even you, especially you deserve support. So often the helpers need, the support. There's lots of people at the Mind, Body and Spirit events who are helping lots of other people, but also have their own personal lives. So the Hierophant reminds us that there are sacred teachers all around, and some wear robes and some wear jeans like me. Some might show up with a book, a podcast, or a therapy room. So I use my knowledge and some of the wisdom gained through different methods, through one-to-one work, and through the podcasts that I do, and these 30-day programs, and I teach and talk at different events. And so sometimes I just sort of change the talk sometimes, but the premise is the same really, is I'm sharing information that I found was useful for me, that helped me on my journey, and maybe can help you too. So the gift is this: they hold space for your transformation. So ask yourself, who uplifts you, who reflects your potential back to you, who calls you out lovingly when you shrink or stay small. If you don't have someone yet, set the intentions today to find a mentor, a coach, or a therapist, even a friend on a similar path. It's not about hierarchy, it's about holding sacred space so you can rise. And if there's a couple of people that say you've already done some training with, like Reiki training, yoga training, you can use these journal prompts and set up a peer support group for each other. So you can answer the journal prompts, and then you can share what it was like to answer those questions, what you learned about yourself, and you can listen to each other. So sometimes doing that, setting up a group, meeting once every 2 weeks, doing that for agreeing to do it for, say, like 3 months, or an online group. There's lots of different ways to do this that don't cost any money at all, or, just your fare to get there. So the tip with this is research shows us that having at least one trusted person to confide in improves emotional resilience, self-worth, and recovery from trauma. So the book recommendation with this, again, is The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer, a powerful guide that feels like a mentor on the page and helps readers release inner blocks. And the song recommendation is Lean on Me by Bill Withers, a reminder of the sacred power of community and support. And research does show us in the Journal of Counseling Psychology that individuals who engage with life coaching or psychotherapy report a significant increase in clarity, emotional regulation, and action taking. Support reduces self-doubt and accelerates the process. So sometimes we can get caught in our own mindset, in those internal struggles. And it's when we articulate those to somebody else that actually it's almost like just clearing out the closet in a way, clearing out the brain and everything we're holding on to. And it allows new insight to come through, especially in the stillness. So whether you're seeking support or not at the moment, is make sure that you find time to have that stillness, to practice mindfulness, do an online mindfulness course, practice meditation if you find that difficult, do the mindfulness, go to some yoga sessions. And the reason I suggest all these and get a massage or have Reiki healing is it just really calms down the nervous system, puts you in a slower pace. And that's where you can start to make sense of some of the things that you're thinking and come out with different solutions, especially if there's something that, you're struggling with in particular. But seeking mentorship and therapy and coaching isn't just about struggle and challenge. It's also about how can we bring your gifts forward and accelerate your confidence so that you can start to create a life that you would love. So the journal prompts for this, and I'll put them at the bottom of the video, is who in my life do I trust to see me and hold me in my becoming? Where do I resist asking for help and why? And what kind of support would feel nourishing right now, emotional, spiritual, or practical? Now, I'm based in the UK, so I'll put the link for the BACP at the bottom of this video. That's the British Association of Counselling and Psychotherapy, and there's lots of supervisors, therapy coaches and therapists on there. There's the British Psychological Society, and there are coaching organisations. But also, if you're going to workshops, there's a few people that I've come into contact with that also are great at supporting people. Steve Noble, he's run a lot of support for people, either one-to-one or running groups and spiritual events. And I did some workshops with him a few years ago and really liked the way that he operates. So good luck on that. And I'll have the link below. I've only got a few spaces if people want some one-to-one work, even if it's the Kickstarter sessions, which just help identify where you are, what's already going well, and what kind of things can move you forward alongside doing this program. So I look forward to hearing from you, or like and subscribe if you haven't already, and leave some notes in the comments section, or drop me an email and let me know how you're getting on.